we're going to get into the financial report for Manchester United. As you know, the fiscal year ends 2025 for Manchester United. It ends mid-year, right? If you think about it, the fiscal year is basically how United report their financials. They're a public company on the New York Stock Exchange, which many of you know. You can look at their stock, see it trading. Fiscal year 25 is mid-year in the summer, so they're reporting June to June because that kind of encompasses a full season of EPL football. It's funny because I didn't really dig into the financials until we were going to do the podcast, but you're seeing a lot of people react like positively on socials. And then I decided to kind of take a look. I went through the full 20F report as their international filer in the United States. You know, Alex and I both work in finance, so we have a pretty good idea of taking a lot of companies public. I know a lot about how to read these filings and get in between the lines on where United. There's a bunch of themes I'm going to pull out. Look, United, kind of the headline you would hear from Manchester United, they're always shining it up. Every public company is trying to sell you something here. Record revenue. Right? So like record revenue, £666 million. It's a big deal. That's a big number. You can see United sort of jockeying with City and other Premier League teams for the biggest one, but United had a record number. But the problem is this was up on commercial, not on broadcasting. So broadcasting is actually down 22% because we lost out on Champions League, and it's going to be down even further for this next year because we have no European football. And also being out of the EFL Cup hurts the gate. So there's going to be a lot of negative headwinds for revenue into the next year, which will surely be less than what it was in 2025. But when you're sort of looking at this from a Wall Street perspective, the fundamentals of United aren't good because how many more commercial bumps are there, right? We talked about Woodward selling this brand into the ground. How much more can they come up with on commercial to make up the broadcasting and sort of gate shortfall? And the fundamentals of the business would be United are in Champions League. They're getting that extra 100 million. They're getting extra games. They're getting more fans and seats. They're charging more for tickets. So you have to look a little below the waterline there to get an idea of where their revenue comes from. Obviously, the profitability did improve, but it was a loss. So while United are culling costs, and you're hearing about all these layoffs, you're not quite seeing that show up. We still lost $33 million. That included firing Ten Hag and all of his staff, which was around $20 million plus Dan Ashworth. So that did cost the team quite a bit. We lost $69 million the prior year, so the losses are less, but only $30 million. So you're saying, hey, you're firing hundreds of people. You're only saving this much just because they're investing in a lot of different automation and online commerce, new ticketing platforms, et cetera. So they're spending more operating costs while they're cutting, so you're not even getting that benefit and didn't show up in the financials, which is a concern. And then obviously the wages did fall, but like I said, operating costs increased 14%. So they are cost cutting, but you're not seeing that necessarily show up, and they're still losing money. And the debt remains to be a giant problem. Long-term debt, which they're not paying down. That's from the original Glazer buyout, $650 million, plus the transfer payables, which is essentially the transfer credit card. So Sir Jim basically racked that up even more. It's about $1 billion. So the transfer payables is $473 million. Wow. Plus the 650, that's well over $1 billion. We increased that $132 million. We also increased the revolver as well. So United, if you're looking at it from the 10,000-foot level, record revenues, which we know are coming down because we're losing matches and broadcast revenue. And then we have cut costs, but we're somehow spending more, Carrington, and then all these operational technology costs as well, like the data team, et cetera. So we're not seeing any savings from the profit cutting just yet. And then at the end of the day, the debt is sky high. So we actually increased the debt. We increased the credit card maximum. And so we're taking on more risk. And so the stock was down 7% because Wall Street saw this P&L and they're looking at a team that has tons of headwinds coming up. They're not playing well on the pitch. That's translating into less revenue coming this year. They're spending more money. They're putting more money on the credit card. They're maxing the debt. So this is max risk. And when people are saying this is a good thing and they're trying to read the tea leaves, like you can look at this and be like, hey, it could be a good thing. The best thing you could say is if everything goes Ratcliffe's way, this could be good for Manchester United. Yeah, like if we make, this shows me how much we need to make Champions League this season. The whole farm is bet here, and that's why the stock was off so much, because this shows they took on more debt, more risk. The cost cutting isn't showing up in the bottom line, as well as revenue is going to be down without Champions League football. So for me, if you're just kind of calling it straight, Sir Jim is doing the same thing the Glazers have done, and they're not fundamentally creating profits that can be used to pay down leverage, and instead we're dipping into more leverage to sign more players to try to just dig the hole deeper to get out of it. And we have yet to see us turn this oil tanker out of the debt pile and the despair. So when you look at Amorim on the touchline, Sir Jim might have a quick trigger finger because they need Champions League football this year, and this is what the numbers show us. So long diatribe there, but be wary who you listen to on socials. You should dig in for yourself because it's a pretty bleak picture.
It's nuanced, and there's a lot of layers to it. They've gotten a little bit better on the cost side, but like you said, you spend $30 million hiring coaches within a year. That takes away a lot of the firings and kind of cost cuttings you did in the first place. This is unsustainable. The thing is, like, it'd be one thing if the football was getting better. If football was like incrementally improving since they showed up, we've arguably never been worse. We're arguably like the worst we've ever been. And they've already been 2 years into this project. And that's the concerning thing is they don't have the cash to keep iterating this thing. Like we don't have the runway to just keep turning over and turning over. We have so much debt and the club has not figured it out in terms of like putting it all together on the pitch. Front office is still kind of not solidified in terms of being a world-class level that we need it to be, that there's too many open questions. And like I said, too many half measures. That's the problem. That's why I am not confident that any of us are going to figure it out. I do think they're better at a fundamental level than the Blazers because they care a little bit more. They're hiring smarter people, but they're still screwed because they just don't have enough cash to go all in because, you know, Ratcliffe's rich, but he's not like stupid money, $200 billion rich. And you need a lot of money to keep iterating this. We need at least another billion or two plus the stadium. So I only see this ending one way. I see us being back up for sale the next 2 to 3 years. I want them to turn it around. But the thing is, like, unless you have the football that can, like you said, get the revenue back in from European football, that is one of the big lever that United needs. At the same time, we're so all over the place. Like, I don't even know if we've hit the bottom yet from a footballing perspective. We could get worse. So the debt's killer. It's like plus $400 million in credit card because we took out another credit card. We've got to buy that fancy car.
Yeah, look, and the Wall Street read is right. I mean, at the end of the day, you can look at the Manchester United stock, and since Jim came in, it's pretty much just in the shitter. I mean, right here, this is sort of it's been a year full. You got to give Jim. It's almost been 2 years, but this is like the first full year he's really in. It popped on the news, and then how are the decisions being evaluated by Wall Street and looking at the debt and this cratering, right? 7% off on these numbers that they're guiding to. You're looking at cost cuts across the board, austerity across the board, and it's not showing up in the numbers. That's bad. The team has $1 billion in debt without having the profits to show for it. So there's a lot of cash flow. Look, the cash flow picture, the EBITDA, people will throw that out there, but at the end of the day, if you have over $1 billion, what's the ratio? Should it be 5, 10? It's probably around 10 at this time. So a lot of headwinds for Manchester United. And then you have to look at Sir Jim and how is this going to impact the decisions he makes for the manager. And it's got to be top of mind that this team has to start performing well fast because of the risk that we took on. And that's why everyone's like, oh, we're spending money. This is great. And you see it kind of show up in the numbers, and it's a little concerning.
Because if the football does not improve and we can't get back into at least Europa League or Europa League Plus, then we're in real trouble. It's like, that's what it tells you is like this is a ticking time bomb, and unless football improves,
I mean, just look at the stock chart.
Yeah.
Just look at the chart. It tells you it's like things going well at Manchester United.
Not so much.